Yeah?
Yeah.
So I haven't played as much as you, I can guarantee that. Yeah, I've probably done about maybe 5 or 6 hours. Enjoying the game. I don't really need to go into what Far Cry 4 is. I'm sure everyone's aware. Far Cry 3 is set in the mountains, basically. But I really do enjoy that formula of gameplay and the amount of variety that it leads to when you're just out in the open world. And there was a brilliant article that went up on Eurogamer about this being Rich Stanton's game of the year, and he just described the feeling of every single icon on the map just leading to genuinely to a new experience, and you never know what you're going to uncover. Even if you know the activity that you're being asked to do, you don't really know what's actually going to happen when you get there, because of all the emergent systems kind of crashing into one another. When the game's like that, and it's not. Well, when the game's like that, it really is great. Obviously, very, very familiar, but it was nice to go back to shooting guys in the head, moving around, with arrows, moving through camps, trying to work out all the different strategies for taking down the encampments, climbing the towers, all that sort of stuff. Loving it, and PS4 looks great. At times, looks absolutely stunning. A real step up, obviously, from playing it on 360. But I just don't know if I can play it much more because the animals are too annoying. They're just too fucking annoying, and I don't know if I just had a bad run or what it was, but it's utterly infuriating. I get it, like in 3, occasionally, and it did feel like it was only occasionally, you'd be setting up to do something, and then you'd get, attacked by a big cat or a dog or whatever it was that attacked you. And that happened sometimes, and it was always a bit exciting, and never remember it being a problem. But in this, I can't do anything. It feels like I can't do anything without getting just laid into by animals. Absolutely laid into by animals. And, I mean, it's just utterly infuriating. I don't want to play the game of you can't do anything because the snake's going to bite your arm, or an eagle, an impossible to shoot eagle is just going to appear out of nowhere and start crawling at your face. I want to play the game of systems and AI and stuff like that. And I've had some amazing stuff with the wildlife. Like the first time I saw a rhino and it butted a car or made it fly in the air, I thought it was fucking incredible. And I thought, wow, this is a real step up. But, I spoke to you yesterday about my final straw, which I'm sure I'm going to go back to it because I really do like so much of the game. But just walking down the road, I've already had about 90 encounters with different animals, packs of dogs, all these sorts of things. I'm just walking down the road trying to be reasonably quiet, and I saw 2 guys in red at the end of the road just by a car. Just standard stuff. Just it's not an encampment or anything like that. They're just there. So I thought, okay, I'll sneak through the grass and work out how I'm going to take these guys out, get the camera out and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just got the camera out, marked them, whatever, and just pulling out the bow and arrow to line up a shot thing and take them out like that. Straight away, fucking snake grabs my arm. So you have to flick that off, heal yourself, try and shoot that. And as I'm doing that, a fucking eagle dive bombed me as I'm doing that, which alerted, obviously, the guards at the end, who brought more guards in. So that's all gone to shit. And trying to deal with this eagle. And then I turn around, and as I turn around, I get flattened by a fucking elephant. And I just thought, what am I doing? What is this? Why am I doing this? This is just utterly maddening. This isn't, if that happened once, and that specific set of circumstances did only happen once, but I'm getting exasperated because it's just, it feels like you described it once when you're walking through the street on a windy day and it feels like someone's just constantly starting to fight with you because the wind's that annoying. Yeah. That's how Far Cry 4 felt like to me. Every time I want to enjoy the game, just someone's running up and just shoving me in the side of the head.
Yeah.
I'm getting annoyed about it, thinking about it now. I just don't get why they programmed it like that. Oh no, eagle, just fuck off.
Yeah, I don't know the Eagles. I don't know who that's just not a good idea. I haven't had as many problems with animals as you have, but there are you can craft syringes to make you. Is that right? I don't think I ever used one, but I'm sure one of the tonics is that you can have inject yourself so that animals ignore you.
I'm sure you can, but I haven't got to the point where I can do that yet. I don't think, or I haven't unlocked that upgrade or whatever.
All right. Well, I never had to use it, so. But yeah, I completed this over Christmas. I did 100%. I did everything. And while I did like it very much, it's just not as good as Far Cry 3. The story isn't as good. The set pieces aren't as strong. The world is not quite as memorable. It's just a weaker outing in every department, and yet a lesser Far Cry game is still one of the best one of the best games of last year. But after what is one of the most brilliant pre-title sequences in a very long time, the story just collapses, and I didn't find any of it interesting. That the villain is barely present in the entire game either. I mean, one of the best things that Far Cry 3 did was keep Vass under wraps for most of the game. There was a real air of menace about him, and whenever he finally showed up again, those bits were really memorable. But Pagan Min, the bad guy in this, is basically not really in it. He's in it 3 or 4 times, and his presence isn't really felt at all. Literally, or just in the terms of him having this massive hold over this community of people. I mean, there's no. I suppose in terms of the gameplay, the thing that really bothered me is that there's no proper sense of progression. After I was barely 3 or 4 hours in, and I had more money than I could spend. I had more syringes than I could use. I had access to some of the best weapons in the game. I had too much health, so hunting wasn't ever really a problem. And there's something kind of blunt and just dull about the health system, because you never need to micromanage it. I mean, in Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 2 especially, some of the best bits involved you having to scarper from something or someone while trying not to die. Well, here you're kind of either dead or alive. You take a hit, you need a syringe. You take a hit, you need a syringe. There's not a lot of tension in the combat compared to 2 and 3. And in general, the game is just a little bit scrappier. I mean, as with Dragon Age Inquisition, which I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, you have to accept and expect issues in games that are as vast as games like this. But the problem with Ubisoft at the moment is that they're putting content before immersion, and these are supposed to be immersive games, but these problems completely pull you out of the world and ruin that. I mean, I think Far Cry gets off easier because you're in the wilderness. So, Assassin's Creed Unity, you have to, they need to create the illusion of shitloads of people, and this doesn't. So that's one saving grace. But one thing that always ruined the illusion for me, and some of the fun of the game, is that there isn't as much freedom as there should be in the combat, because there are missions that purport to be stealth, and they're just not. You can look at tackling an outpost stealthily and spend time plotting your route in and whatnot, and what order you're going to kill the guards in. And then the first guard you kill can instantly alert everyone. There was one outpost which, regardless of which guard I took out first, that always alerted everyone. So I was just like, why not just tell me that I have to take everyone out? I could have just walked in guns blazing. Why pretend to be a stealth set piece? That was really, really, really infuriating. I couldn't tell whether it was completely intentional or a bug of some kind. Just in terms, I mean, the radio broadcasts from my car radio had a habit of playing during cutscenes randomly, right. And like you said, the fucking eagle attacks. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. They often fly at you during combat, almost exclusively when you're already in combat. They move too quickly to shoot if you're already being attacked by something. So I mean, it's just a better system would be if you just like dropped a health syringe and stepped on it, because that's all they do. They force you to heal yourself once, and then they fly away. I mean, if you try and shoot at them, you're going to get attacked by whatever you're in combat with. So there is real brilliance in Far Cry 4, but because of things like that, I just couldn't get lost in it quite enough. But in terms of the new stuff, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the new equipment and systems are very good. I mean, the mortars are really dangerous and really difficult to use. So they add a kind of unusual layer of drama to sort of some of the action set pieces. The rappelling is nice, albeit quite glitchy on Xbox One at least. It's a really good solution to the problem of being presented with a massive cliff and no way to get around it. You're having to walk around it for 10 minutes. So that's really welcome. But have you done any of the drug-induced bits in Shangri-La?
No, I've not. I've spent more time just exploring than progressing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. There's these hallucinatory bits, as there are in so many games these days, and they're really quite poor. I mean, conceptually and just in terms of their overall entertainment value. The much shorter comparable bits in Far Cry 3 were far superior, the bits where you went hunting for those mushrooms. But and the mad scientist character in Far Cry 3 is a far more compelling character than the equivalent in Far Cry 4, which is that he's replaced by these sort of shady European con men. It's just not. It's not quite the same. And the other thing is that the people you're trying to, the sort of people who are on this island, who you're essentially trying to save, they're just a bunch of yahoos. Whenever you save them from enemies or you save them from animals, they just fire their weapons into the air. They're just idiots. It's like, statistically, if you keep doing that, you're just going to shoot down some kind of important aircraft and the power structure will sort of crumble from the inside. I might as well just leave because they're just firing their guns. You just drive past them and they're just shooting their guns in the air. I mean, sometimes they're shooting at eagles, but a lot of the time they're just celebrating or something. I was just like, again, you can't. You just like. And here's another thing, a weird thing that happened to me with regards to losing yourself. I never. Far Cry 3, although the interactions weren't a vast number of them. You always felt like you were still in a place. In Far Cry 4, something happened where I saw a woman being attacked by an eagle. So I jumped out of my car, I ran and shot the eagle, but I also shot her in the head. So the eagle was dead, but so was the bird. So was the bird and the bird were dead. But then her husband was standing by the roadside, and I walked over to him. And he's like, "Can you fix my car?" I was like, "Okay." So I fixed his car, and he just got in and drove off, leaving his dead wife by the side of the road. I was just, something, nothing like that ever happened to me in Far Cry 3, and it's just another of the many things that just kind of meant that I couldn't get really lost in it. But overall, despite all of those problems, it still has more than enough of that unique appeal and the unique magic that this series has to make it almost a must-play. I mean, if you haven't played a Far Cry game before, this isn't the best place to start, but you definitely won't be you definitely won't be disappointed. It's definitely not as good as Far Cry 3, and it's definitely not as good as Far Cry 2, but I still rather liked it, despite all of its problems.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back. I just hope that I had a bad run with the animals, but I'll never understand why they ditched some of the really great stuff about Far Cry 2, the truly great stuff. The stuff with the companions. I mean, now you can call in someone to help you out in missions here, and I thought, oh my god, they kind of brought back the stuff from Far Cry 2, but it's nowhere near as in depth. I mean, that stuff was you kind of forge relationships with these other mercenary scumbags, and then they might fall in combat, and then the amazing moment where you have to kill them, just I mean, that was incredible. Why you ditch that system and kind of keep some of the other stuff, and then introduce a system that's 10 times more annoying than your gun jamming. I think getting attacked by an eagle is way more annoying than your gun jamming. I think. Yeah. But, whatever. Far Cry 2 for me will always be the one. I mean, stuff like the encampments in 3 and 4 are so much better than the respawning things in 2. But don't get me wrong, but. Some of the bravest stuff in 2 got ditched, and that'll always be a shame. Like the enemies that help each other, one goes down and the other one will help the other enemy, or you might get a wounded enemy that comes around and tries to still kill you while wounded in 2. All that stuff is amazing. It's just fun again, so it's just such a shame. Yeah, but what do you do?
It is weird that there aren't. That's probably the primary shame of it, is that there's not many surprises. And incidentally, that system where you can call in troops to assist you, I never used it once, because on the 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 times that I attempted to use it, they're like, "Oh no, sorry, we can't in this scenario. We can't come and help you." It's like, well, I mean, I need your help. In all of those times I attempted to use that system, I couldn't. So I don't know when you're supposed to use it. I mean, I did it in almost every scenario in the game, it felt like, and it wouldn't let me use it. So I don't even know what that system's in the game for.
What I felt weird about that system is I did manage to call in a guy, and he turned up and he helped me and he shot some guys. And then you can give him 2 commands: follow or wait. Fine, it's like a Titan. Yeah. But so my only option is just to have this guy with me until he dies. I can't just go, cheers, you can go home. You have to stay with me now until you die, or you can stand on the spot here forever.
That's weird. That's. I'm sure
please don't think that I'm launching that as a major complaint against the game. I'm not.
No, I mean at the end,
that doesn't matter. But
to an extent, some of the things I mentioned don't matter. It's just that it stopped me from being able to get completely lost, because 2 and 3 are just like. I was in those places. Yeah. Here, I just felt like I was in
Blood Dragon, I was in that weird place, even though.
That's. Same as that. And the sort of inclusion of the Assassin's Creed Unity-style emergent events where you just drive past and there's 2 guys, kill them. There's 2 guys, kill them. There's 2 guys, kill them. Just happen to be walking around. It's just fucking lazy. But yeah, it's still well worth playing, and there is brilliance in it. So I do think people should have a crack at it.